We are all neighbors. Boy versus giant. Everyone loves a good story, and this one is almost unbelievable. The story I'm about to tell is one that our Christian and Jewish neighbors know well. The main character is a young boy, a brave young boy named David. Let's see what happens. No, the boy in our story did not wear a super cape or a mask. David and his family were Israelites. Israelites are also known as Jews. David was the youngest child in his family, so when his older brothers went to join the army, he stayed back and took care of his father's flock of sheep.
Ma, I like David. He takes good care of us. Ma.
As a good shepherd, he stayed with the flock day and night, fighting off predator animals that came to hurt the sheep. While he was sitting in the fields during the day with the sheep, he wrote poems and sang songs. One day, the Israelites and another group of people, the Philistines, broke out in a battle with one another. The Philistines had many tall fighters, the largest one being a man named Goliath. He was the tallest human that had ever lived. Some people called him a giant. No, not the football giants, just a tall man. Every day, Goliath would call out to the Israelites. He said if they could send someone to defeat him, the Philistines would become their servants. And every day he said that if he fought someone and he won the battle, then the Israelites would become servants for the Philistines. It was scary. Who could the Israelites possibly send out to fight a man that big? One day, David's father called him in from the sheep field and asked him to take food to his older brothers who were armed and ready for battle. When David got to the battleground, he heard Goliath shouting. He was crying out, "Come on, who's going to fight me?" And David wondered why nobody would fight him. Finally, David said, "All right then, I will fight him." The other men shook their heads and said, "You're only a boy. Go back home to the sheep."
David, come home.
David picked up some perfect stones from the nearby stream bed and put them in his pocket. He went near Goliath and called out to him, "You are fighting with a sword, but I am fighting with God on my side." He took a stone from his pocket and put it into his slingshot. He pulled back the cord and shot it at Goliath's head. The giant reeled backwards and fell over. Can you imagine the cheering? David had knocked out Goliath the giant. The other men could not believe what they had seen. How could this be? David used his brain and his courage. He believed that God gave him the strength to do what he did. So what's the lesson in this story? The lesson is about a young person not being afraid just because a problem seems gigantic. It's about a boy who believed that God would protect him. And it's about a boy who was smart and brave. Someday, you might have a problem that feels really big. And if that happens, maybe you'll remember the story of David and Goliath, and you'll remember how strong and smart you are. At the end of each class, we read a promise together. Our promise: I love my neighbor, and everyone is my neighbor. I know that God loves everyone, no exceptions. I am a caretaker of the earth and a loyal friend. I will treat every person as they wish to be treated. I'll see you in the next class. Smiles, hugs, and lots of love from me, Guyoma.